Welcome back to IADS Retail Park, the podcast powered by the International Association of Department Stores. I'm Maya, and whether this is your first time tuning in or you're one of our loyal listeners, thanks for joining us. This week, we're digging into a topic that's kept more than a few retail execs up at night. What happens when your greatest cyber risk isn't a shadowy hacker, but a trusted supplier in your value chain? I'm here today with Anchita, who's been deep in the weeds on this subject, and we're ready to talk about what recent breaches are teaching us, how interconnected the industry really is, and what practical steps we can take to make these value chains less fragile. Quick disclosure before we jump in. This podcast uses AI cloned voices, but don't worry, every episode has been shaped and double-checked with real human oversight.
Hey Maya, hey everyone, you picked a hot topic for today. So we usually hear about hackers storming the gates, but the reality is in retail's digital ecosystem, it's often the backdoors that pose the biggest threats. And it's not an abstract risk either. The World Economic Forum's 2025 Outlook flat out names the complex web of value chains, especially all those loosely monitored suppliers, as the leading cybersecurity threat for organizations today. And if you look at the numbers, retail is at the bullseye. Our industry accounts for about 24% of all cyber attacks. That's more than any other sector, and it's pretty sobering when you realize how much data moves between systems every second.
It's almost dizzying when you think about it. All those third-party vendors, software suppliers, cloud providers, logistics partners, just one drop of the cybersecurity ball, the dominoes start to tumble. And we've seen those dominoes in action. And Cheetah, can you break down some of the recent headline attacks, especially the ones that drew a straight line from one supplier's lapse to millions in losses for the retailer?
Let's talk about the Marks and Spencer hack. This wasn't just a minor blip, it was a major wake-up call. They were targeted by a hacker group called Scattered Spider, who basically found their way in through a third-party supplier. That single opening led to a cascade of issues. Nearly 3 weeks where online sales took a dive, contactless payments and click and collect services were out of action, and ultimately their valuation dropped by about £700 million. The impact didn't stop at M&S. Once the news was out, it was open season on similar vulnerabilities, and both Harrods and the Co-op had incidents traced back to that same overall weakness in the supplier network. The fallout ran deeper than numbers, lawsuits, a real hit to consumer trust, and even the CEO's compensation got trimmed. It really brought home how cyber incidents can ripple through every part of the business, not just IT.
That's what's so unsettling. It doesn't just stop with one brand in crisis. When attackers see an opening, they go after everyone connected, turning a supplier's mistake into a whole ecosystem's problem. The chain reaction effect is real and moves fast. But looking at the bigger picture, there's that quieter, ongoing challenge: smaller suppliers. What's holding them back from stepping up their defenses? And why does it matter for everyone, not just the big players?
It's all about resources and priorities. Many small and medium suppliers don't have the budgets or the specialized staff to run advanced cybersecurity programs. Only about a third say they feel even remotely ready to handle an attack. And sometimes there's this attitude, we're just a small fish, who'd bother with us. But that's the opportunity attackers look for. Crack open the door at a small logistics firm or a boutique vendor's plugin, and suddenly you're in the back end of a major retailer. The risk isn't spread evenly. The smallest link often becomes the weakest.
And if that wasn't tough enough, retailers are also trying to juggle a patchwork of compliance rules. Different countries, changing expectations, rising costs. Keeping track of who has access and which rules apply where can quickly turn into a logistical nightmare. But what stands out is that the best in class aren't just shrugging. They're treating cyber risk at the same level as financial or legal risk, right?
Absolutely, Maya. The leading organizations want cybersecurity baked into the DNA of their entire value chain, not just their own IT department. They're running frequent, in-depth supplier risk assessments, building strict requirements into every contract, and using real-time monitoring tools like automated risk scoring and software bill of materials. A lot of them are adopting global standards. Think of NIST or ISO and making sure they're always up to date with regulations like PCI DSS. What's also exciting is the move towards true industry collaboration, info sharing, shared frameworks, and a real push to help even the smallest suppliers keep up.
It's a real switch from every store for itself to the stronger together approach. And then there's cyber insurance. The whole Marks and Spencer situation really shone a light on having a solid backup plan, but also that insurance is never a substitute for real controls.
Very true. Insurance can help cushion the financial blow, but it won't rebuild consumer trust or patch up operational chaos. What's more, insurers now look even harder at how retailers actually manage supplier risk before they're willing to write a policy. At the end of the day, those foundational controls and looking after every partner in your chain are non negotiable.
And at a strategic level, if you're listening in from the C suite or heading up a risk team, there are some clear things you need to have locked down. Keep supplier assessments fresh. Build strong cyber requirements into your contracts. Invest in tools that give your team and your partners real visibility up and down the chain, and do what you can to support those smaller suppliers, whether it's training, frameworks, or even just making the conversation a regular one.
Yes, that's right, because you're only as strong as your weakest partner. And as we've seen, one lapse can shake up the entire sector. Think of cybersecurity not just as tech armor for your store, but as a whole of business, whole of network mission.
Well, that's the perfect place to land it, Anshita. For our returning listeners, thanks again for sticking with these mini dives into the big issues shaping retail's future. And if you're new, welcome to our community. If you want even more real world examples, including cases we didn't cover here, check the episode description for the full exclusive report. Don't forget to check out more insights and resources on our Substack, follow us on LinkedIn, and cast your vote in our poll. What's the biggest security worry for you in retail right now?
A big thanks from me too. Thanks for stepping into the inside world of retail risk, where it's about who you connect with and how well you secure those relationships. We'll be back with more stories of disruption, innovation, and strategy, so stay tuned.
Until next time, keep it smart and keep it safe.